Hi, this is Denise with PaperKraftD, and today on Trash to Treasure Tuesday, we're going to be making snippet rolls from old tea towels. Here's what you'll need. An old tea towel, and these are ones I just use in my kitchen, and when they get all grungy and stained, I repurpose them for either cleaning and dusting around the house or for craft projects. You're going to need some glue stick. I really like this one. I'll leave a link in the description box below for Amazon where I get this. It's very economical, and I can't seem to find it at the 99-cent store anymore, which is where I used to get it. This is optional, but I highly recommend a non-stick surface like this Tim Holtz silicone mat, just because the glue stick can get really, make your surface really sticky and difficult to work with. You're going to need some scissors. You're going to want some wide tape, preferably the same width as your snippet roll, scrap papers, and these are strips that I have saved, and I particularly like to use the strips. These can be from printables or cardstock, book pages, whatever you have. I even like using tissue paper scraps or napkin scraps, and even tape scraps. You can tell I ripped this off another project, so I can reuse that, and even washi. I just saved these little teeny scraps, and I can use them for projects like this. Fabric, ribbon, and lace scraps. So you can tell this is just some lacy fabric. I've got some tulle in here. I've got some sari silk, burlap, you know, even these handles from bags. A sewing machine is optional. However, I highly recommend some embroidery floss in various colors, as well as a needle, and then just some embellishments. And with this, you know, really I encourage you to use whatever you have. So a variety of old buttons are perfect for this. Decorative brads. So you can see I just put this one in here, but this is a pearl brad. And I also have this fabric colored brad here. Gears. These are a lot of fun to use. Charms. Jewelry. Beads. Bulb pins. String or thread nests. Stamped images on fabric or paper. Fabric or paper flowers. And various die cuts. But again, I strongly urge you to just use whatever you have on hand. The first step is to tear strips from your tea towel. And you could use a sheet or whatever you have handy. Basically, we're really just looking for a nice frayed edge on either side. I like about 2-inch strips. That seems about the right size to me, but you can make them any size that you choose. The second step is to glue 3 of these strips together lengthwise, and that'll give you about 2 yards. It makes a nice quantity of snippet roll, but it's still manageable to work with. The third step is to glue your paper strips down to your fabric strips. And so for example, I have this one, which is like a 12-inch strip. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that right on there. And I like to put the paper on only because it just seems to me like it's a little easier to sew when it's got some paper on it. And maybe it's just because I'm so used to sewing on paper. I don't know. Maybe that people that are like real sewer, you know, seamstresses wouldn't think the same, wouldn't think that, but I don't know. That's just my take on it. This is very, very thin material, and I find that it's really fiddly to sew if it doesn't have some paper underneath it. Okay, so you can see if you have strips like this process goes pretty quickly. All right, and I'm just going to continue. You can see what I've got so far. I'm just going to continue, and then I will be back and show you what I have. Okay, so here is what I've come up with just for the paper portion of this. And I'm not worried about this, you know, it's a little grungy, a little stained. Because honestly, the only thing you're really going to see on this is the really cool edges anyway. Okay, so there's one that I did, and then this one I made much more neutral. Yeah, a few pops of gold here and there. And if everything's not glued down perfectly, that's okay. Because honestly, I'm gonna go back and sew over this. So, you know, that's not the end of the world. Okay. So I think I'm gonna start working on this one that's more neutral. The fourth step is to glue down your fabric and ribbon strips. The fifth step is to let this dry. The sixth step is to sew this on your machine. And this is really just to tack down your pieces of paper. Okay, so this is what kind of ended up with so far. So I just sewed those things down. Let's see. You know, it sticks up in some areas, but that's cool. I'm good with that. I love this color combination. I think it's really pretty. Okay, so now, and, you know, you could just leave it there, you know, and this would be really pretty just on its own like it is. But I'm going to keep adding stuff because I got this, look at this. Like I barely made a dent. So I'm going to find some coordinating embroidery floss and just, you know, start putting some of this stuff down. The seventh step is to add lace and sheer fabric and even cording to the snippet roll with embroidery floss. And you can just do this, you know, various portions along the length of the snippet roll. It doesn't have to be over the entire thing. Cool. All right, and then on the back, I'm just going to make a knot. And I'm putting that needle in the hole, and that kind of helps get the knot to be close to the thread, or the knot to be close to the fabric. There we go. Okay. So fun. Okay, so I'm just going to add some more of these types of, things along here, see what I can come up with. I'll try to do some crosses on this. All right, so that's kind of fun. I've got those. All right, so I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to think on this one. I'm going to do what, there's a YouTuber, Sagita, who's Sakita Coffee Stains, and she calls this just scribbling with thread. And it's just kind of like randomly putting in this part's kind of thick, so it's a little more challenging to do, but it's just, randomly putting in some stitches, just kind of basically getting like a scribble kind of effect, which is kind of cool. I like that. I like that look. She does it. I mean, she's a master of it. I'll link her channel down below, but she's pretty amazing. And if you don't have things quite as thick as I do right here, this actually goes pretty quick. It's not super complicated. And what I really love about this is that you need absolutely no skill to do this. It's just, kind of playing around. You can do this while you're watching a video, whatever you're doing. It's just not a lot of thinking involved in this, which is great. I'm all for not as much thinking. I tend to overthink everything, so this is actually a lot of fun for me to just kind of play around and, wherever the thread ends up on the back, well, then that's where it's going to be. So, you kind of got to go with it. And the more you kind of just do this fast and don't think too much about it, I really do think the better it turns out. And again, like I said, it requires zero skill, which is good because I really don't know what I'm doing when it comes to embroidery. I really should watch some of Rachel's from Roxy Creations videos. She's kind of a master, but I'm a little bit intimidated by that. All right, I really like the way that turned out. See, it's just kind of messy stitching all over the place. Just adds a little bit of color, a little interest, a little texture. Oh, okay, so now this is like a scrap that I had obviously like glued to something and then changed my mind. It's got, stuff on it. But I actually really love the way that looks. So I'm glad I didn't throw it away because I really love it. All right, I really like the way that turned out. I think that's cute. It's very cool. Okay, so I want to layer up some stuff here. I've got, let's see, I want this, but I want it kind of twisted. not totally twisted. I want it flaring out a little bit. There we go. All right. Let's see, let's put that there. I want this here, but I want that also twisted so that, you know, we get some interesting stuff going on there. Let's see, so I think I had this. Did I have this? I like that, but I kind of like this too. Let's see. That red actually looks kind of cool. All right, so I'm liking that. This would still be kind of cool to add in here somewhere. Maybe I can just sew it with the machine. That might be easier. Okay, I absolutely love the way this came out. And this is just that like raffia, you know. But doesn't that look cool? I love those colors together, the red and the teal, and oh, yummy. Okay, so I'm super pleased with all of this. I thought I'd kind of come over here and work on this section a little bit because this feels like it needs some more love over here. Let's see, I'm thinking maybe adding a little piece of that there, and then maybe something like that, and doing some messy stitching over the top of that. The 8th step is to add embellishments. I'm going to add this piece of seam binding, and I'm just using the corner to put this in a large needle like this, thread it through. And I want it to be like basically right here. So I'm just going to, see, maybe like right here, be kind of perfect. I'm gonna go through, and if it's too thick, you can always use a pair of needle nose pliers to help you get it through if you need that. This one's just a couple layers, so it's not that hard to get through. Okay. And then I'm just gonna take this and make a bow. But you see, you kind of get this cute little bow right here. And just this area over here to like right here, I really like just the way it is. But this area over here feels like it needs something. So I'm just gonna layer up some of my smaller scraps. And I generally like to do clusters of 3 buttons, unless the button is like really big and really unique. Let's see, I wanna make sure that's on the teal so that you can actually kind of see it. But I can always add more teal too. So, okay, I'm just gonna start with this and kind of see how that goes. This is a great way to use up all those just teeny tiny scraps that you have of, you know, lace and fabric. But you can see how cute those look, you know, just layering up some of those tiny scraps that you have. So that's a lot of fun. I think this is pretty good over here, although, okay, I think I'm just gonna add like a couple little X's right here, just in this area. So these are just, you know, this is all just adding the finishing touches to your snippet rolls, you know. And then you can see this one's kind of hard to get through, so I'm going to use my mat to kind of add some pressure there. Same on this side. There we go. All right, and you can see that looks super cute. All right, right, so I'm going to then move on to this next area kind of over here. Okay, I like that. And I'm just going to attach that with my tiny attacher. Great. All right, so I'm going to use this big button there. This is really beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that a gorgeous button? Okay, so I really like this area. I don't feel like it needs a ton here. I really want to put like this guy here, here, and you don't even have to go like in a, you know, straight across row. It could go more like a, you know, down like that, which will look kind of cute too. And I'm thinking maybe just like, instead of all of them being on the same piece of fabric, maybe each button being on a little separate piece. Okay, yeah, I like that. I think that looks pretty good. I feel like this needs something else under it because it's kind of getting lost in there. So maybe I should put like, I don't know, a little piece of this. Yeah, that stands out a little bit better. Okay, good. I love that. I think that looks great. All right, that's fun. So I might want to add a few X's like right in here. Yes, I like that. That kind of draws, see, it kind of draws the eye across like that, which I really like. Okay. Okay, I really like this where I've got just this like small, medium, and large gray buttons. And you can see I have some gray up here, so it kind of draws in those colors. I want to do something really simple behind them. I've also got this really cool string. Just gonna kind of, I don't know, make that into like a roundish shape. Add a little bit of this sari silk over the top. All right, so I like that just kind of layered look. Got some interesting texture there. Do something interesting in here. Okay, and I think I want to do a little bit of some messy stitching just in here. When I'm doing this, I really just try to get in like all sorts of different directions in just kind of a way that seems aesthetically pleasing to me. You know, I don't, you know, wherever the needle falls, that's where it falls, and then I kind of work with it, but I kind of, you know, try to vary the stitch size and, you know, the stitch length, and the direction and all that good stuff. I just think that kind of makes it look interesting. Okay, so I like the way that looks. I don't think I'm gonna do anything down here. I just feel like it would be too heavy if I did. I do think I'm gonna go over here. I really like the way this has turned out. Okay, I'm gonna finish the rest of this. See, this is what I have so far. I'm going to finish the rest of this off camera, and then I will share it with you. And then this is the area that I did on my own. I added a little charm there. It says wisdom. That seemed appropriate for this particular one. I added a little bulb pin with some different beads on there. I really love the way these turned out. This is the gears and some buttons. I love that. I love the way those turned out. That turned out super cool. Some more X's and a little snippet of this ribbon and some thread, some more messy thread there. I added some of this gold mesh stuff and added some crosses in there and a bow. I have another one of these gorgeous buttons here. Look at that. I just love the way this turned out. This area I kept fairly simple because I just love this. These colors together are really striking to me, especially with the blue up here and then the blue down here and the red and the black. I just love it. And then this little red button over here with the twine, I just put it in a circle and then tied it, and then added that to this little cluster with this half a flower trim that I had left over. It was just, a little scrap that I didn't throw away. All right, so the one thing that, you might be worried about is that, okay, so I've done all this, stitching on the back. When I go to cut it, that could unravel. So what I'm going to do is turn this over, and I'm just going to add some tape to the back of this. And this is just tape that I get at Daiso. I'm just going right over the top like this, and I'm going to burnish it down so that it sticks really well. And that way, when I go to cut this, if I cut an area, that's been stitched, it should still, stay intact. Okay, so here's what you end up with as the final product. And you can see you get a nice quantity of snippet roll when you have about 2 yards of tea towels glued together. But it's still pretty manageable to work with, which I really like. And I just love how this turned out. I also made this one. And this I just did one length of the tea towel. I didn't glue more than one together. Okay, so to simplify this process, I've condensed this down into 10 steps to make snippet rolls from repurposed tea towels. The first step is to tear strips from your tea towel. And again, you can use an old sheet or just whatever you have, just so you get these really nice edges on either side. I like about 2-inch strips, but you can use, you can make them any width that you'd like. Then you glue enough strips together lengthwise to get about 2 yards. In my case, because I cut 2-inch strips, I just glued 3 strips together. The third step is to glue your paper strips onto the tea towel strips. And at this point you can add the washi, tissue scraps, and napkin scraps. The fourth step is to glue fabric and ribbon and lace strips down on top of the paper. The fifth step is to let this dry. The sixth step is to sew lengthwise on a machine all the way down the strip, and you can do that a couple times, and that just helps tack everything down. And again, this is optional. If you don't have a sewing machine, don't worry about it. The seventh step is to add lace and sheer fabric and cord on top of the fabric that you've already glued down, and tack that down with embroidery floss. The eighth step is to add embellishments layered on top of tiny fabric, ribbon, and lace scraps. The ninth step is to add more decorative and messy stitching along the snippet roll if desired. The 10th step is to add tape to the back of the snippet roll to prevent the embroidery floss from unraveling once the snippet roll is cut up into sections and used in projects. Okay, so that is my share for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this Trash to Treasure Tuesday video. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment in the description box below. What's your favorite embellishment to add to snippet rolls? And if you want to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe to my channel. Again, this is Denise with PaperKraftD, and craft on.